Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well obviously we're going to continue with this today. Going to time the ignition, put the little clutch operating mechanism in the left hand outer case and put that on, finish that side off. Then we'll come over here, we'll put the clutch on, the kickstart on, and then we've got to rebuild the oil pump and what have you in this outer case. Then we put that on, then we'll put the carbs on and whatever we get done in a reasonable time. Okay, getting lots and lots of comments, thank you very much. But slightly strange. Well, not so much strangers. First of all, three types of comments. One sort of questions about did I miss things. Now there were two of those that particularly I'll mention. One of them gave me a heart attack, but the sort of common one is, and I get this a lot, did I remember to put the gasket cement on things? Now, for instance, when I put the sort of the equivalent of the rocker covers on this, there are studs in the head. So if I put the gasket cement on the head, I've got to put it round, studs and everything. Whereas the cover that goes on is just flat with holes in it. So it's a lot easier. And then of course, if I just pick it up, you maybe don't see it. But don't worry, I don't miss it. Second one was somebody mentioned that I'd torqued all the bolts down, but they hadn't seen the gasket. And I thought, torque bolts? The only ones I did with the head bolts. And I thought, oh shoot, don't tell me I forgot to put the cylinder head gasket on, because if I have, it means taking the engine out. So I was sitting up at the house trying to picture the bench where I had the gaskets laid out. But then I had a thought, and I went and looked at, I think it was episode 25, and you see quite clearly that I put the head gasket on. So that's one type of comment. The other type of comment is, to be honest, people saying that they would have done things differently, which is fine, but we've all got to remember, you know, it's my job, so I know there are different ways to do it. And the third type of comment always intrigues me, and there were several of them this last episode, and that's where people mention things, and I think to myself, wait a minute, 5 minutes further on, I tell you that. So whether, I don't know, do some of you sort of see something and stop the video, write your comment and then continue watching? Because in particular, last week, it was about the breather. I had several people say, oh, you can't put that plate on, you need the box. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I put the box on. I sort of said a couple of minutes later that plate wasn't going to work, I had to put the box on. So, intriguing. Anyway, we're going to start off with that breather box because the comments set me looking at a number of things. So before we start on the engine, let me take you over and we'll look in a little closer detail at that breather box. Now then, breather box. As I say, because of the comments, I went online and I read a number of threads on Yamaha 650 pages and some other ones in general about crankcase venting and PCVs from other bike bulletin boards. And it's obvious, as with other things we've seen, that Yamaha were constantly changing the design. For instance, this one has two outlets, but apparently later on they only had one outlet. Also, for instance, can you see in the end of here? There are little rubber bungs which make the hole very small. I took the one off the other engine, and judging by the way the bolts came out, I don't think this has ever been off. That one, still two, but it doesn't have them there. Also, when I took this one off, it had altogether one plate in there, another plate, and another plate. This one, when I took it off, only had that one in there. So they obviously kept either refining or just simply trial and error with these things. But anyway, I also, as I said, looked up a lot about Pcv valves because I was wondering the best way to vent this and, you know, not get oil mist everywhere. Those of you with British bikes will remember in particular the Triumphs. They vented and it went in a D-shaped. This is very strange. The plastic tube was in cross section, it was a D shape with one flat side that just went all the way back along the frame and poked out near the backlight sort of thing. So on Thumper Talk, I think it was, which deals with obviously big singles, there was a lot of talk about fitting PCV valves, and also apparently brake bleed valves are used. But anyway, consensus was that a really good one to use was a Mercedes-Benz pressure relief valve, and they're only like $10 or $12, so I ordered one and I've got it on the way. But the other interesting thing, before we move on, was, I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever you look anything up on the internet and go to the various bulletin boards or whatever, it's about an equal split between people saying how good something is and how bad something is. So, you know, some people said you can use PCV and other people said you can't, and some people said, you know, I've had one on my bikes for the last 20 years and they work great and everything. So I think I'm going to go with this Mercedes-Benz PCV. Also, actually, I guess because I was just working with the engine and forgotten about the bikes, it's so long ago, this didn't vent into the airbox. Maybe it did on some other models, but the particular engines I've got just have two great big long tubes that obviously come out, go past the carbs down the frame and poke to the bottom. And I read somewhere that the single one, I think, also they used it to oil the chain, a bit like Royal Enfield did. So anyway, the outcome is we're using the box. I'm going to put these baffle things in because they'll obviously reduce the amount of oil vapour that gets out. And what I'm going to do is blank one of these off and put this Mercedes-Benz PCV on it. Alright, so let's get on with the rest of the bike. Right, let's set the electronic ignition timing. So, you may remember on the other side I made some marks for when I was doing the valve timing. So I've set the top dead centre. Now, with this type of ignition, and to be honest, this is one of those things which I can never understand why this wasn't always done. For instance, on the Triumph Twins, it's working on a lost spark principle. This is a 360-degree twin, so the pistons are going up and down together. One piston will be on compression stroke, so it's going to fire. The other piston is going to be on its exhaust stroke. So there's no reason at all to not fire both spark plugs at the same time. And this is what the modern systems do. So one of the beauty of them is, of course, that I just time this at top dead centre, because it's going to fire both cylinders, so it doesn't matter. Whereas one of the commonest faults I've come across with people with British twins with two sets of points, if they've done a rewire or something like that and they can't get it to start, is they've got their wires crossed over and they've got it firing on the cylinder that's on its exhaust stroke, not on its compression stroke. So, okay. We're set at top dead centre. So we need to move this. See the red mark and the red mark? These are designed that when that red mark and that red mark are together, this is going to be at full advance. Now for this unit, the instructions say 38 degrees. So we're going to use a degree wheel. Alright? So, we'll put that little piece on there because it means less screwing of nuts. So we put our degree wheel on. And we just tighten this nut up to hold the degree wheel because we don't want to press the fixing piece in that clamps on the thing. So that's okay, right? Now the other thing you need, of course, is you could mark up here, but then you get, you know, the old parallax error. If you're looking at it from an angle, you're not sure whether it's exactly right. So what you need is a piece of wire, which we're going to bolt onto the case and make a little pointer. Alright, so that's going to go on there. Actually, I should put this on first because the degree wheel is going to be in the way of the Allen key. I think. Where's my little what's-it? Right, now I actually did this off camera because I went to get my little angled what's-it to tighten that up with. So there's my little pointer, you see, set at 0. I won't keep walking you backwards and forwards. Alright, my marks are on top dead centre. That is set at 0. Now we want this to be 38 degrees before top dead centre. and you'll notice the numbers on this go round that way. Okay, they go to 90, they do it in 90-degree arcs, so you can do valve timings. So we want the engine to go backwards because we want it to be coming up. The engine goes around this way, so it's before top dead center, so it's coming up this way. So we need to be 38 degrees. When that's back round there, 38, we're correct. So let's see if I can reach around here and get that. So what we're going to do, of course we're up against valve. I'm going to have to put a spanner on that to be able to move it round. So let me switch you off while I find the right size. Right, I've actually put a socket on with the ratchet. So, I've not got it going the wrong way. Been one of those days. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to go past it and then come up towards it. So here it is, see, so it's coming the way it's going. And there's 38 degrees. Now I have brought you around to the other side. Okay, so there's the mark we made, and there's the mark on there that was top dead center. So just so that I know I can keep checking against it, we'll make this one, I'll put a different mark on so I don't get confused. So we know that's the 38 degrees. So let's go back around the other side. Right, so now we can take this off. And that, and hopefully, there we go, we can move that around. All the little red marks are lined up. And we put, where's it gone? No, we put that on that way, I guess. Yep, put that on like that. Washer on. Now we're going to tighten this up. Now, as those of you who've watched before, I had to make a little tool up for the PVLs because when you wrench tighten it, it tends to move things. And I did the same here. Fortunately, these on the rotor have flats, so I made something up to fit. I presume there's a torque on this, so let's get it tightened up and checked, and then I'll go and look for that. Actually, these don't move like the PVL ones do because of this taper thing they're on. Right, let me go and check for a torque measurement. So much for climber manuals. Look at that. Engine tightening torques, all of them. Drain plugs, exhaust studs, all sorts. Does not mention that nut at all. So, little bit of internet search at lunchtime. So let's put the clutch part together. Right, this part isn't exactly very complicated. That goes in there with the metal part upwards, and then 2 screws. And then I think I'll go and take an early lunch. And find out what that torque setting is. I mean, goodness. Tight. Then This bit goes in. Now that's different to the one, oh, no, it goes onto there. I was just going to say that spring's a bit stretched. But that's it. The cable points up to the hole up there, and we've got a ball in there, so everything's ready there. I'll oil all this before it. Okay, let me go and have something to eat and find out what that torque setting is. Alright, it's 50 foot-pounds. So basically it's the same as the old YamBSAki. So let me put it on there. Hang on, just got myself something to get a little bit more leverage on that one. Oh, very good, Michael. Hang on, let me turn this back there. Go and check the other side. Right, still spot on our mark, so it hasn't moved any. What the hell is, why is that slipping off there? Oh, I know, it's catching on that. There we go. Alright, let's put that on our mark. Fingers crossed, go around the other side. And it's still spot on where it was. Okay, so that's that done. I'll take the pointer off. Now I'll put the sprocket on and the nut, bent the tab of the lock washer over. I've also, what I did actually was I thought I'll take the grommet off the other engine, and it was interesting. The grommet isn't a split one, but the cables coming from the alternator, because it's a, you know, an alternator that's got to have power put into the magnets, is a huge square one. So the grommet must be on. You've got to take the, you'd have to take the plug off, take all the little separate terminals out to get the grommet off. So I split it at the back. It'll be fine. I also did the two missing studs, because while I was getting this grommet I thought, why make studs? I just pinched two off that engine for now. Alright, so let me put a chain on and then we can put this outer cover on. Just come across another difference with the two engines. Checking the parts book, sure enough, some of them have a one-piece push rod with a ball in between the end and the little piece that presses onto the clutch pressure plate. Some of them have two-piece with two balls in. I found out because I pushed this one in from one side and this one fell out, and when I looked in the box of bits I found that piece. So seeing as that's the one that came off this engine, I'll put the two-piece one in. Now then, I think we're all set to box this side up. I've actually done a little job. Maybe I should have filmed it, I don't know. But I suddenly realised that I'd forgotten I have to cut a little piece off to get it to fit into the tube. So I've just cut that piece off on the bandsaw. Sorry about not showing you it. But I've got a brand new cable laying down here. If you're wondering why I've suddenly stopped, I have no idea what it's for. Anyway, I put the gasket on, greased it all up. I've also put the chain on because it's just easier to get at it, but I haven't cut it to length, it's just on the sprocket. Also, I've got a new clutch cable, so I thought it'd be easier to feed that in before I put it on, than same sort of thing with the chain, then fiddle around behind the case. So that goes through that hole there, and then that bit It's in there like that. And then now that goes on there. Oh, you remember the thing I painted yellow for here? It's actually a chain guide, there's a rubber top on it, and it won't fit on with the new positioning of the engine in the frame. But as you can see there, there's a nice big boss on this outer cover, so we have plenty of support. I've also put the first piece of the clutch push rod in. I could put it all in from the other side, but I just put it in there while I was here. So that goes on there like that, I think. Aha! We're going to have to cut another bit off. We have got where the rear engine plate and its bolt is. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll show you me doing that. Right then, so there's the bit I just cut off. Yeah, we can get this all right. So I'll just clean the edges of that up and then we'll see if it'll fit. Right, we'll try again. Okay. There, in there. And that's it. Very good. Right, now then. Some case screws in. These seem to be chrome plated. What was I ordering? I was ordering some bits for this engine and I noticed in the engine section it had sets of case screws, Allen screws, so I thought, oh, I'll get some of them. Basically all the same length, short, a bit longer, oh, very long. I wonder if I bet that one went in there. Did it? Probably not. Anyway, let's tighten these up, see what happens. Oh, I bet there's two short ones to go in here. So where will that go? Will that go in there? No, that's threaded straight away, that's threaded straight away. Unless that's catching on something. No, that's threading. Alright, let me tighten these up. It's back off, you say? Yes, it is, because I had to cut a little piece out to go around that. Down there. So I'll screw it on now. So there's that side done. There's a little cover on. That little chrome cover covers the clutch adjuster for the actual rod movement. So let's go over the other side now and we will do the clutch. And I think the first thing we'll do over this side is put the clutch push rod in before we forget. So we've got the one piece in and in goes a ball and in goes that piece, and then goes another ball, then we'll put a bit more oil in here. And in goes that. Alright, now the next thing we'll put in is the kickstart. There's the kickstart. There's the sliding engagement mechanism and everything, and just in there you can see the teeth. Like if I move that, turns the gearbox, which in turn of course will turn the clutch, which will turn the engine. So this little bit of the spring goes in there, and I'm presuming that bit goes over there. So we'll line this up as best we can. So we'll put some oil on that bush. Oil those gears a bit. It's a tight fit. See, we're trying to get springs, teeth to mesh, and all sorts of things. See, I don't really want to take the spring off. There it goes. It's a little screwdriver. It's not that strong a spring. There. Bottom ones, not in this little. Now we're going to get those gears to line up. Come on now. Come on now. There it goes. Okay. Right, let me grab all the bits for the clutch and we'll lay them out. Now I've got everything laid out in the order it goes on. And I was a little confused because I had all these bits and then I realised they were the starter motor parts, so they aren't going in. Alright, so we'll set to. I'm missing a couple of the hold down bolts for the springs. Now I've measured the clutch plates and they're fine, so I don't have to bother about renewing them. Same with the clutch springs. So let me move you around and we'll put this on there. Alright then, so the first thing that goes on is that washer. Goes in there. Then that. Then that bushing. And the clutch cage. Which is gear driven off the crankshaft. Then we have a thrust, bearing with the little rollers in it. Then that, for that to work against rather than the alloy of that, then that goes on. Then we have There's a plain washer and a sprung washer. What do you call them? Can't remember what they call them. So I'm pretty sure they go on that way. And then a big nut. Before I tighten this up, let me check that should go under the nut, not under the washer. Right, now this nut is £58. So I don't reckon much of this clutch holding tool. It's just alloy. Let me see if I can get that in. See if it'll come up against the end of the crankshaft there. It doesn't even fit. Look at it, it's flexing. Oh my god. Oh, well, it worked. So once more, I'm shouting before I'm bit. What I'm doing now is be able to get it back out. There we go. Alright, so that's that on. So the next thing to put in are the plates. Now here's another thing. Parts book says, you know, there's no wear on this clutch. It's really nice. It says 6 friction, 5 plain. This one's got 7 friction and 6 plain. Oh, here's a thing as well. When I was searching about PCV valves, this will be of interest to Yamaha 650 people. One of the bulletin boards, I think it was a moderator. There was a mark on there, but I've got to line that up with something. I wonder if I'm supposed to line it up with something on the clutch cage. Let me check. Right, well, it doesn't say anything in the manual, but I looked at this and there's a little hole. And when you put that on, you can see the dimple through the hole. So, as I was about to say, when I was looking at PCV valves, the thread was talking about oil blowing out of the breather. And I don't know if he was one of the moderators, but this fella seemed to be a Yamaha mechanic. And he mentioned that was mostly caused by people overfilling with oil, and he backed that up by putting up a Yamaha service bulletin, because apparently some of the dipsticks aren't marked right, and on the service bulletin it said it should be 5.5 inches 5.5 inches from there to the mark. So isn't that interesting? Back on. Alright, we'll keep going with these. Okay, so now we can put that in. And now we can put that on. There's our little pip. There's our little hole. So that goes on like that. And now all I have to do is screw these in, and I'm going to get on my hands and knees in a moment, because it struck me these were all, I think, in that tray, you remember, that smashed and fell on the floor, so maybe I didn't find everything. So let me check on that. Well, that's annoying, I can't find them anywhere, which is really weird because I've got the springs. So what I'll have to do is pinch a couple off the other engine for now, so we can get ourselves finished. But that'll have to wait till tomorrow. One nice thing I always like, is you can put them in and get them started before you're compressing the springs. So it's not like the BSA ones where you're pushing like mad to try and catch the thread. Alright, so until tomorrow, we're at a stop. Now I got two of the clutch spring bolts out of the other engine, so they're all in, and I counted the plates in the other engine, and that one's got 7 friction plates in as well, so obviously, as I say, they change things backwards and forwards. Alright, so that's on, kickstart's on, everything's ready in there. Let's go and put the oil pump together, and then we can put the outer cover on. Alright, let's put this back together. So, make it so we can get at the little Woodruff key easily. So that goes in there like that. And that. Goes in there like that. I put the 2 little marks together. You remember it had 2 little marks on. And then this has got actually 2 locating dowels. So this will only go on one way. Like that. 3 screws. Tighten them up. Right, now then the next thing is the tiny Woodruff key. Very tiny. Get my fingers and my head in the way of the camera this time, aren't I? But can't be helped. Oh, come on. Can't get at it with my fingers. Let me. Oh, it took some getting in. Okay, then this goes on that way. And that Woodruff key's just jumped out, hasn't it? Yes. This is going to be fiddly. You know the Woodruff key's going in, you know that gear wheel's going on. Right, we've got that in. So then, this is the little worm drive that drives the rev counter. But of course, also, although we don't need the rev counter, it's basically acting as a spacer to the nut. So that goes on there, and there's a little lock washer, and then a little nut. Right, so let me tighten that nut up, and then we'll put this on. Oh, there's oil seal to go in there. Forgot about the other filter, so I suppose it'd be easier to put this on now. So we've got a gasket that goes down the bottom. And there's actually sort of, see the hole there? So the gasket's got a particular shape, so that goes down there. So that the gasket, so you can get to see the hole and the threaded portion. At least I hope you can. If you can't, you missed out, because once I've bolted this up, I'm not going to take it apart just to refilm it. Right, so that's got to go in. Then that goes in there like that. You see, that's got that hole to match. Then that big banjo bolt goes in. Like that. Another gasket. Now when I was taking the screws out of the other engine to get those clutch bolt things, I noticed that some of these had copper washers, and in the bag there were some 6mm copper washers. So where's the thing gone? There it is. And this is actually at an angle, so it goes in one way to follow the contours of that. And then, excuse me, we'll put them in, and as I say, I've got copper washers on. Yes, you can see all this. Now I need an Allen key. There it is. Wait a minute, I thought I'd already tried these in here. That one's going in alright. There's something wrong with this screw. Nope. Was that too long? Anyway, I'm going to screw this on here, and then I'm going to put that oil seal in for the Kickstart, which you didn't see, I noticed. So there's where the Kickstart oil seal goes. Right, so let me do that, and then we'll put it on the engine. Alright, I've got the gasket on, greased both sides, oiled the oil seal for the Kickstart. Yes. Let's put the Kickstart on, because I've got to mesh those gears. I'm pretty sure that is what is catching there. Take the spark plugs out so the engine will turn over. Got some little metal splinters in my finger from somewhere. They're annoying, as well as being painful. Aye. Oh no. Okay, put a couple of screws in, and then we'll have a look at that Kickstart. Alright, although that had me cursing and swearing, was in gear, and of course I've put a chain on. So there we go. I can put the rest of these in, and then the last thing we have to do here is to make a blanket piece to go in where the rev counter drive went. Well, I was getting all set to make a plug to go into there, you know, which is going to have an O-ring groove and a little hole for the locking bolt to go in. And I thought, why not just take the thing that was in there, seal the end up. So I cut it shorter, welded it up, so that's going to go in there. It's got its O-ring on. Locking bolt will go in. Why is it will go in there into the hole that's in there, and everything will be honky-dory. So I'm going to give it a coat of silver paint just so it doesn't rust, and that'll do. And that'll do for this week, because I've got throttle cables coming. You know, I'm going to have to go from one cable on the twist grip to 2 cables for the carburetor. So I've got one of the junction boxes that we used on the British bikes coming, cables, and I've got that PCV thing coming. I don't want to put the carbs on till I know where that's going. So we'll make that it for this week. I think we're probably 40 odd minutes of video anyway, and I'll see you next week. So until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.